Welcome back to
Buckle up, baby.
episode 47.
This one, we do a little year-end wrap-up. We talk about systems, which is like not necessarily setting goals, but practices that you do to kind of get you where you want to go.
And we actually reviewed our systems and what part of our systems need tweaking, need revisions, need refining.
We talked about ChatGPT,
Yes.
the AI thing, and then at the end, we did a really
special treat, a special
cool
treat.
demo.
You're going to want to watch the ending of this episode. We did something we've never, ever done
Our
before.
first 10-hour episode. Wait till the end because it's worth it.
Thanks for watching. And again, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to everybody. We are Buckle Up, and we can't wait to share more. What?
Happy Hanukkah.
This episode will be like sort of year in review. By the time a year ago, this time was New Year's, and we had done a few. We had just gotten rolling. But
so I just listened to a top 10 TV shows of the year last week already.
Yes.
So we're in that season.
Yeah, I see them seeing it all. Everyone's posting their
Should we
in
do
reviews
our top 10 Buckle Up episodes of the year?
right now, or post them. Like talk about them.
Yeah, just talk about your favorites.
I have a few off the top of
Do
my
you?
head. I think the cinematic ending to COVID, where Fauci gets
That was
shot
a
with
good
the
moment.
vaccines.
Yeah.
Ugh, ain't that a booster? And he falls over.
Yeah,
I've watched that a bunch of times.
that was fun. Have you?
That real?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't seek it out, but
No reel I watch. I actually do watch sometimes. The reel of me explaining to you what a book is.
that's a good one.
I like that one.
We have to add that to the highlight reel on our page.
I think it's on there.
But in the year in review, Michael, we've had a few good, interesting things happen.
Yeah.
We had a lot of guests this year that, well, we're not 2 years old.
Well, we're like a year and a half. So the last New Year's we had done like 10 or 15 episodes probably.
Right. For the year in review. Yeah, we were only like a year and a half old. But in that spirit of like new year, doing things differently, you
Yeah.
wanted to talk about systems, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
We do systems. We'll explain what systems are again.
Yeah.
And top 10 to 20 episodes of the last year. And then
I love Parker. I don't want to pick guests. That feels mean to favor certain guests.
I know who my least favorite was.
Oh, well, that we can't
I'm
say.
just joking. I'm
I
joking.
don't even know who you're thinking, but I think I do, but I don't know. But I don't even know. It just gets weird if we start to do that. Did you see that clip of Tarantino on with Tom Segura?
I saw him on Tom Segura, but I only watched the first like 20 minutes.
Did you? He goes. He was asking a very normal question of like, so do you have any like movies now that you're like really vibing with? That like, are some of your favorites? Any directors that you think are really doing great work? You know what, man? I don't want to talk about other people's work, man. No, I don't want to do that. I want to talk about my movies. All right. And it was just like, oh, okay. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to talk about that.
He's a real monster. I was listening to him do a movie draft. Have you ever? You don't know what that is. You know what The Ringer is? You know who Bill Simmons is? You know what sports are?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Bill Simmons, yes. The Ringer is a show on HBO that Bill Simmons has.
The Ringer is a company Bill Simmons started.
Okay.
That after he got fired from ESPN. And they're basically a podcast company at this point, and they do pop culture and sports.
Right.
So they have a really good movie podcast about movies. About like movies that come out and just movies in general.
Mm-hmm.
So they do these thing called movie drafts where they'll do a movie draft for 1997, and they'll get a couple people in there, and they'll each sort of pick their favorite movies, and whoever builds like the best roster of movies from that year wins. And it's just like a jumping off point of talking about all the movies that came out in 97.
Yeah.
So sometimes they do it with a guest celebrity. So they did a 1987 movie draft with Quentin Tarantino, and him and his friends came on. And his friend, so they asked him, where were you in 1987, friend? And he explained how him, Quentin Tarantino, and a third guy were all best friends in 1987, working in a movie shop. And then this guy went on a trip around the world for a year, and he came back and he found out that like 6 weeks before he came home, that third friend committed suicide and died, and that's where he was at in 1987. And Quentin Tarantino's response was, he wasn't really my best friend. He was more your best friend. And anyway, and here was my favorite movie from 1987. And he goes, and actually, it was actually great because that's what you based your next movie on. And it was just like, dude, you are a sociopath.
Right.
Like he's so focused.
Asperger's-y about movies. He's like on the spectrum with movies. He's like, cinematically autistic.
I don't know if I want to like reduce it to that. He's just so
autistic as
ambitious and focused.
But autistic as in like an elevated hyper focus on one thing. That element of it. Quentin possesses. It
Yeah,
seems like.
to the exclusion of the emotional.
But that's
what
what
was going on. Yeah,
it's just very common with people who are autistic is like they don't really relate to human emotions or like human interactions because they're so hyper focused on tasks.
I mean, maybe his movies are like a little autistic, like
I'm not
in the
I-
way they talk. Actually, that's
I'm
like,
not
that'd
saying
be interesting.
I'm not saying he really is, but
Yeah.
in the way that
Yeah.
an
No,
autistic
but
person is hyper focused to the exclusion of real
Yeah.
human.
No, but autism is like kind because it's saying like it's not your fault. I'm saying like
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
it is
yeah.
your fault.
Right.
Like you're
Yeah,
a psychopath.
That's kind of and he only cares about film and movies
Yeah.
and the craft and not
Yeah.
human beings in
Not
real
the
life.
human being, exactly. Which is weird because he makes movies about human beings.
But that's different
Yeah,
because that's
not
a
really. I would think the best filmmakers are the most in touch with their feelings and people around them. I would think so, but his characters are not really in touch with emotions. They're kind of like in their heads.
right.
It's
And
interesting.
also, what's interesting is I've seen this phenomenon a lot. He's like, I don't know his work in depth. I've seen a lot of Tarantino movies, as most people have. They're insanely popular.
Mhm.
But he's a writer.
Yeah.
In addition to a filmmaker, director, he does it all, and so that says something about him as as a person who controls his whole artistic vision.
Mhm.
But he also is a writer, and I have met a lot of writers who can create characters that are compelling, who can tell stories that convey a certain in-touchness with
Mhm.
intuition and emotion. But interpersonally, they're totally awkward and weird. And it's
Have
like
you really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah?
sort of a stereotype of writers that they don't perform, they're introverted,
Yeah.
they have no skills, they have no ability.
But he's certainly not introverted. I wouldn't.
Whatever the
Yeah.
qualities are that make you a misanthrope, that make you like not into people in
Yeah.
person like that make
You're-
you prickly
you're a
and
little-
irritable.
you're
Like
apart.
he certainly is prickly.
He's
He
apart,
does. He
yeah.
doesn't. He doesn't. He's not forgiving in interview. All right, I'm not going to talk about that. All right, like
Yeah.
leave me like all that kind of stuff. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
It's common. I've seen it in a lot of writers, and I've seen it with writers who are like socially awkward, but in their heads they can like observe. And it makes sense if you're like someone who is like an observer of the world
Right.
and not an engager with
Right.
the world, where you're not like out there charming everybody, but you're taking it all in. So
Yeah.
you can sort of write down the resonant frequencies between people, and like you can convey something that we can all process.
Right.
And that's your medium of like expression, not social expression,
Right.
but artistic.
Right. What were we saying? Quentin Tarantino on
Why
some-
Tarantino is sociopathic in
but
person, but
before
his
that-
characters are so compelling.
before that when he was on Tom Segura.
Yeah, Tom Segura asked him,
Yeah.
like, tell me who your favorite. Do you have any people that you really
Oh,
like
our
right now?
least favorite guest.
Oh,
Got it.
yeah, I don't know who that is.
I don't have one.
We'll talk about it.
They were
after.
all great.
They're all great.
Harry was the most provocative.
Yeah, the Harry one really.
He was just
we
like
got an insane amount of views across
Yeah,
all the
he's
social
great.
media.
We got. That's what. It's so funny. That's the building blocks of podcasts. You have
Right.
provocative, interesting people.
Right.
We just got. Jeremy. I'm surprised the Jeremy clips didn't get more attention because I thought he said some really.
He did, and you know
gold
what?
Stuff.
Yeah, can't think too much about it. I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the resolution we hadn't had down yet, so it's kind of fuzzy.
Yeah, that could be.
He's holding
that's
2
an
orange
excuse.
pillows on his lap the whole time, and that was interesting. But anyway, I just recently heard from he's down in Miami. I was in Florida, but
Yeah.
he's been sharing kind words about us in the podcast.
Oh,
and everything,
nice.
So that's been good.
People come up to me and they're
Tell me.
like, "Well, I'm like, how are you doing?" And they're like, "I know how you're doing because I listen every week."
Yeah, I am always
It's like,
surprised when
that's so
people. I think they're
strange.
teasing me, like, "Oh, your podcast." No, I watch every single episode.
Yeah.
We have super fans out there.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the 300 pot. 300. Well, there's 2,000 people on TikTok. I don't know what that means.
It would be cool if someone that we don't know was that devoted.
Didn't you say someone approached you at the park who you sort of knew and didn't know, and he was like,
Yes, that's true.
you had a
That's
fanboy
true.
moment.
Yeah, but someone like really like if my like dream would not whatever. It would be really cool if someone was like, I'm like a Muslim guy living in LA. We're not Jewish, but we come from the same kind of family. Like I deal with the same kind of stuff that you guys are talking about, and I think you guys are cool.
In due time.
That would
2023.
be cool.
2023,
Yeah.
that's
And
happening.
my name is Akash Singh, and I want to introduce you
Oh.
to and
But one thing as far as systems go,
All right, so we want to talk about systems.
you wanted to talk about it in particular. Why?
Because I like hearing your systems.
My
and,
updated systems?
and I want to think through mine. Yeah.
Mm.
We did it last year. I thought it was cool. It was helpful.
Like, what are my current systems right now that I'm up to?
Yeah, and what you want to change, how you want to adjust from last year.
Interesting. What I find is if I don't go in like the right sort of sequence throughout the day, like it does screw things up if I go out of order of like what I'm supposed to do. There were some stretches of weeks this year where I was so busy because I was composing on a TV show with the band, and it was just like I could barely come up for air. It was just a lot of that, so sometimes I would just dive right into that or whatever it is. One thing that I have to be really conscious of, it's sort of related to systems because it disrupts them, is content addiction. That's been real hard. Like, if I'm opening Twitter by reflex the first thing in the morning, especially as I started to use Twitter more, it's like the worst. I mean, they're all bad in certain ways when you're abusing them, but Twitter is just like going into a bathroom stall and just start reading the latest things scribbled on it because I don't know, like there's very little of value on it. It's really a cesspool.
Yeah, there's no upside to it. I found.
Yeah.
Like TikTok, it's hard to get mad at because you're like, this is just so fun,
right?
Like,
but I'm at a point now with it where if I find that I'm consuming more than creating, I feel shitty. Like I feel really drained, like as a human by the end of a day. Like it's one thing to like set aside time to like have some fun on the feed, look through stuff, have a good but if you're just doing that, I found that I've had days where I'm like, and I have to like hide my phone under something. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And I know you can relate to that. And then we'll get back to systems.
Yeah, no, I've been working a lot on it. I got on Black Friday, I actually ordered a new iPhone case. And then I said to myself, I want my kids to not know that this is my phone. Like, cause they don't know. They just know the case.
Right.
And so I'm like, when this phone comes in the mail, when this case comes in the mail, I'm gonna switch it. And like from then on, my kids don't see my phone. Like literally 12 minutes after I got it, my daughter goes, "Is that your blue phone? Is that your blue?" She says, "Is that your blue phone?"
How did she know?
It was out,
right.
And she saw it like after 12 minutes. But since then, I've been a lot better of like really keeping it in my pocket or keeping it off of me.
Well, one thing I do is once I don't do this every time. I'm not consistent, but when I go inside and it's like after 5 p.m., whatever, if I'm in like kid zone 5 to 8 p.m., I don't have the phone on me.
Yeah, that's great.
I put it in a drawer or like away, like I just put it down on something because otherwise it'll be out. Like you could say don't have your. Otherwise, I'll just be like checking in between whatever. Yeah. And I do it. I'm not. It's not a purity test. I'm like oh shoot whatever if I'm trying. And I hate that because then I'm neither here nor there. I'm just split between two different attention spans, which is the worst. It's like either you're in something and focused or you're not.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm dodging the question on systems a little bit because I still do it, but there's been a lot. I've been embattled a little bit with because part of the systems is like posting and making content. Right. And sometimes I'll open my phone to post. 15 minutes later, I'm like, jeez, I gotta post.
Yeah,
I forgot to do that because I saw some amazing thumbnails and really interesting things.
Because I saw an Indonesian guy surrounded by 60 alligators and he had a shovel.
I saw that too.
You saw that?
Yeah, what a badass!
It's crazy.
Of course. And he was like, dude. I'm like, this guy's nuts. But like when you're going into like the cave of wonders that is social media, touch nothing but the lamp. Remember, the lamp is like what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go in there and do your thing. But you're surrounded. And I sometimes am a boo. The monkey. And I'll be like, everyone's trying to come at me when you open these things.
It's not the thing is, it's not your fault.
No, it is.
No, it's designed to be smarter than you.
So in my systems, one of the things that I'm trying to do lately, very, very recently, is not open the phone at all until I've done like a few things.
In the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it just feels better to have your coffee, get inside, do some affirmations. I'm cheesy saying that out loud, but I do them. I just do them. Affirmations, I do them.
Very mystical person.
No, I don't know. I just do them, and
You're a very mystical person.
Maybe
you are.
I don't know if I categorize myself that way, or if you're being tongue in cheek that I'm mystical.
I think you refuse to acknowledge it, but you have a Rebbe who happens to be a meth addict. But Jordan Peterson, allegedly.
Meth addict?
No, I mean he like barbiturates or whatever.
Benzodiazepines. You're a monster.
And
Quentin would never say that. Even Quentin wouldn't say that.
And you believe in affirmations. You're a spiritual person.
I don't know if I believe in them, but I'm just like it's like a Pascal's wager. Know what I mean?
Yeah, this is what I mean. You keep like
No, I'm telling you.
walking
Do I
back.
know that? I mean, I read it in Scott Adams' book. He kind of says, I can't tell you why they work, but they work. So I'm like, all right, I'll try it.
Yeah.
But I can't definitively say they work. As
I don't think anyone definitively says like, anything. They just they believe in it.
All right, so I do these affirmations.
Mhm.
They involve a few different things. Some to do with like health, regimens, and like success and focus, all these kinds of things. Affirmations. Okay. After that, I try to do something involving instrumental, like musical instrument practice.
Is this also before your kids get up?
No, this is after. This is like once they're out the door.
But what do you do? So all that whole time before, you're not touching your phone?
I didn't. No, I do.
So you do.
I'm trying not to. Like,
is your goal to like not touch it at all until after the kids are done and after?
Yeah,
you
ideally,
do this
it's not touch
process?
it. It's not that I can't touch it, but,
No,
I don't want to be opening Twitter, Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok, YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn,
Yeah.
Twitter Spaces, Clubhouse. I don't want to open anything like to check on metrics, views, none of that dopamine. I don't want any of that until I'm like ready to look at it and like review. Like, because sometimes it's a healthy way to like, structure your mind to say like, I'm a media person, like we make stuff and I run my own channel here, which involves Buckle Up, involves my own comedy content, some musical content, band content. Like I'm doing that. That's my work.
Mhm.
But like, don't show up to work before you have to in a way.
Mhm.
And if you're getting up super early, you're getting up super early. And if that's before the kids get up, if I have things to do, that's another task.
Mhm.
But if I'm looking at it that way, like no one in other work professions would ever clock in before they're at work.
That's not true. Everyone checks their email and
They
news
do,
and
but I'm
stuff.
trying to look at it that way
Yeah.
where like in the traditional sense, give yourself work life, give yourself a healthy balance between two things.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the phone is with you all the time and TikTok is going to be there in everything. It's going to be there for bath time, bedtime, dinner, conversation, whatever. It's going to be everywhere. And I'm just trying to fight that. So in my systems, what I'm trying to implement is this way of like, once I accomplish these these things where the kids get out the door, I get to the studio, I try to do the affirmations, then some kind of instrumental work, practice a little piano, like warming up, or guitar to like a backtrack on YouTube, and I'll just play a few things, or some looping now, which I've been setting up, which you can talk about later. About like I'm setting up my new loop rig. I haven't worked at in a while, but I'm trying to brush up on that. And once that's done, I've like worked myself out musically, creatively. Then it's time to dig into content. And
what time is it at this point?
It's 2 p.m. No, I'm just kidding. At this point, it's like mid-morning.
Okay.
I'd say that maybe between 9 and 10, I'm digging into content, videos for the day, editing some buckle up reel or clip for the day, that kind of thing. And then I shift into like sort of lunchtime and music in the afternoon. That covers my bases, and I focus on that. I'm trying now that I have a second between that the show I've been working on is done, and that's constant turnover. I'm also working on like just making music for music's sake, like producing a beat and making something, sketching out ideas. It's very freeing, and I always feel so much better doing that than scrolling and diving into the social media space all day long. And then a friend of mine told me a good phrase, which is post and ghost. Make the video, post it, and don't look at it for a while. And like reward yourself later to check it out or to be disappointed, whatever. But like that whole relationship with it, I am embattled with, because once you're so deep in it, every creator could talk about the burnout and the feeling. Like all of a sudden, if the day's gone by and you've spent more time consuming than creating, it's really it'll drain you. And I've also saw a good video by Jack Conte, CEO of Patreon, who also is a huge, massive creator. Like he puts out so much. He plays in Scary Pockets, like a funk cover band thing, and they do cool covers and arrangements of things. And he just puts out so much content, but he talks about how to stay sane while doing it. One of the things he talked about was batching content, which a lot of people talk about, which is on Monday, do all your filming for all the things you're going to do that week, as opposed to creating a video a day. And my concern with that is I think it's a good idea, because like you don't have to like wake up but then like I don't want to lose my regimen of like feeling that little bit of pressure to like create, because otherwise... and I'm trying to decide if I want to switch to that.
30 days is good for that. The group, 30 days.
30 days is what got me started. I can give you full credit.
Guy, you started also. Someone just published a book that's getting reviewed in the Jewish Review Books this week. Hillel Broder. Yeah, we could say go out and buy it.
From 30 Days of
From
Something.
30 Days, yeah. His project just got published as a book. But I want to do it also.
Anyway, yeah. I want you to continue,
Yeah.
but that's my just to put a button on that.
gotcha.
That's my sort of systems right now.
Yeah.
It's constantly embattled with the social media and trying to contain that.
Mhm.
But your 30 days of something prompt that you started on Facebook, this group, was what probably started me on the daily posting thing, which
Yeah.
was really good
Yeah.
for the time being. Now it's at a point where it's like, okay, now I have to figure out how to contain all this so I'm not burning out.
Maybe we should do another one, maybe like a long-term one where because so 30 is something is a group where you just have to, it's a group of people who are making stuff or pick a project, and then every day you have to post some sort of progress. It could be one word, it could be one note, and or you get kicked out. But maybe it's good for that. If we did another one, it's good for that pressure, but it's not this overwhelming pressure that kind of creeps into your life because you don't want it to.
Yeah, I very much preach the idea of like consistency, like working out, and you can't stop, but then you can't stop, and that's a real problem. So how do you find the balance between burning out and whatnot? And Jack Conte's solution was batching content, do outfit changes, make a bunch of videos, have a shoot day.
Yeah.
But then I just sometimes rely on that last minute, think of something funny in the moment, but it does hurt. Like you're just like, oh, whatever. What are you up to?
Well, just to put a button on that. So systems are like we talked about it last year. Systems, not goals. So you don't pick a certain metric to hit. You just pick sort of a practice that you want to be doing, and you just sort of dive into that as often as deeply as you can, in the hopes that it will become sort of more than just a hobby or whatever. It's like something that you get to do professionally.
And so that when a professional opportunity arises, you're primed and ready for it.
Exactly right. So So how would you bucket that? Like podcasting, music, content creation. Those are your like three systems.
You mean the three categories of what do you mean by bucket it?
Like how would you have to give a name to each of your systems, or is that like part of the process?
Well, I kind of muddied up like systems and just like what I do during the day, like my routine, which is different. Systems is just an approach to doing things in general of if I'm doing a 30-minute beat, which another creator online was talking about, 30-minute beat make, 30 minutes and I make like an 8-bar loop or just a beat. So I don't say oh, I need to be reacting to something where there's a deadline, I have to make something for something, a transactional thing, as opposed to just making something for the sake of itself. That's the practice of doing it. So, I left out one thing in it, comedy writing. So that's a good example.
That's a great example, yeah.
Good example of a system is where, because the podcasting and things, I'm editing things that we have to put out there. That's it is a system of there are systems involved in doing that, but there is a goal in mind of I have to post a piece of content for social media or for our podcast or whatever it is. And so I am reacting to something. I'm not just doing that for the sake of itself. There is a beast to be fed, so to speak. But, as part of a regimen every day, a joke a day is sort of one thing I try to hit. I don't always hit it. There's other things that get in the way, and what that means is not a completed joke, not a finished thing, but start on something, pen to paper. And I even do it differently, than typing it in on the computer. I have an actual notepad with a pen just to get myself into a different, framework and write, and whatever ideas come to mind. Start with a premise, start with a thing. And if I've written a new kind of idea or the seedlings of something, that's a completed thing. I'm like, okay, done. And I check it off on my phone or something like that. So that's a good example of that. That's usually in the morning time in that sort of instrumental system thing and of practicing an instrument, practicing joke writing, those kinds of things. And I found that the other day when I sat down to make a loop and I was kind of messing around, all of a sudden I was playing piano and I'm like, oh, it's sounding better to me. I could do things that I had a little more dexterity because of those systems. Or when I want to try out a new joke on stage or try something at an open mic, I have a bunch of things to choose from now where I'm not oh my God, what am I going to do? It's okay, let me try to put this here, this here, this here.
Right.
It's all there.
Right.
And it's sort of the same thing as when you post on social media and then some video pops off, somebody goes to your page and they find 50 other videos that are just as good, but one happened to pop off. Then they're like, oh, this is actually worth sticking around for and subscribing. So
yeah.
I haven't heard you talk. And I want to.
What are my systems?
Yeah. I feel like I've been going. I'm conscious of that.
I'm with you on the content addiction for sure. I'm really working. Also, the first thing I know I'm off to a bad start if I check how the reels and TikToks and shorts that I did that I posted the day before are doing, like
First
the
thing.
first thing in the morning. And it's not even like I'm not even dealing. We don't deal with big numbers. It's
Mhm.
just like
It's an itch.
that's why it's so insane because it's like
Mhm.
well, I checked this to see if 400 people watched it.
It's an itch to scratch.
It's an itch. The guy, do you know All Gas No Breaks?
What is that again?
He's a guy who he had like a Man on the Street show where he went to different like scenes and interviewed people, and it was like it's insanely successful. I forgot his name, but he I just saw him on. I think it was TheoVon, maybe.
I definitely know that show, All Gas No Breaks.
Yeah,
And I know the
so
host.
that guy, and I mean, I thought he said it really well, where he's like, you're actively engaging in like a dopamine, like on a dopamine thing, but you're only getting dopamine through yourself. So you make something, you put it on, and then you get dopamine based on like positive engagements with yourself. And he's like, it's just this weird like self-contained ego trip you go on constantly, especially like he's doing millions and tens of millions of views and like
What did Theo say to that? You know, yeah, you got to get that bubble. You know,
right? He's probably like right. But
I don't have a Theo. He's so imitatable, but I don't have it.
He's so fun. I've been watching his clips lately. He's
so
funny.
You know, it's like you got to get that bubble. Sometimes I just send for a text. I just send that bubble. No text, just a little bubble. You know.
I just saw his like pins video on his TikTok. Is like he's talking about white privilege. He's like, you think I took all your shit? And now I just don't have it.
He talked about a lot of. I grew up in Louisiana, or what? Louisiana, he said.
I don't know.
I was in the South, boy. I was in the South, man. There was just poor black and poor white.
Yeah,
I didn't know no privilege.
He's like, you think I put you here and then move next door to you?
He said, like, I think autism. Speaking of which, like Elon Musk, I think autism is like the bridge between man and machine. You know. Like, that's what they are, Everything he says is so ludicrous and so sensible at the same time.
Funny.
That's his magic.
It's like Southern wisdom.
So, it's something about it. He's like, yeah, I think I would eat a Vietnamese guy. and Joe Rogan's like, what? He was like, if I was starving? He was like, I think I could down a Viet. Yeah. He's like, really? What about, he was like, and because he said he did like a fast for like 3 days. Like, I think I would eat a Vietnamese guy. It's like, why Vietnamese? He's like, don't you think their family would care? It's like, they're very forgiving people. They're very forgiving. And Joe Rogan goes, yeah, but what's interesting is like, even though we were still technically at war with them, like now you can go to Vietnam and everybody's very hospitable, even in North Vietnam. He goes, Exhibit A. And he's just brilliant at it. I don't know. He's brilliant.
Did you see Stravos on Rogan?
No.
Great premiere appearance guest on Rogan. So comfortable. I saw that guy. yeah. So open. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, just so fun. I really hope Rogan has him on over and over again.
I've seen his clips and stuff like that.
So funny, but he's a great guest. Like he's very
like a Tim Dillon part 2.
Yeah, better than Tim Dillon. I don't think again, I don't ride harder for anyone but Tim Dillon. His funniest stuff is on his own podcast. It's not on Rogan. He's not as comfortable on Rogan.
But the initial Tim Dillons episodes.
Yeah, right.
I'm saying a Tim Dillon.
It introduces you to a new big personality.
He said, Joe did a lot for me. He had me on his show and like blew him up, and it sort of expanded Tim's profile. I think.
Oh yeah, I hope that happens to him.
And it seems like it's the similar kind of MO. This guy comes on who's just hilarious. Yeah. Who talked about him was Sam Morril on Rogan.
No, what'd he say?
Sam Morril, they're good friends.
Yeah.
Him and Stravos.
Yeah.
He was like, you don't know Stravos? Oh, Stravos is the funniest guy, man. You gotta have Stravos on. He like recommended him.
He told a great story about how his grandparents met. He's like, you want to know the kind of people I come from? My grandmother couldn't find anyone to marry her. Oh no, there was a woman in my grandmother's village who couldn't find anyone to marry her because she was fucked up. So it was back in Greece. So they called another fucked up guy from a faraway village who couldn't find anyone to marry him, and they brought him over to our village. Because to marry, so two fucked up people could marry each other. But when he saw my grandmother, he decided no, she's too fucked up to marry. And then when he saw that woman, he decided he's too fucked up to marry, and that's the man my grandmother married, or something. Right. Like just like the worst of the worst in these tiny little villages. He's like, that's who I come from.
Yeah, but he said like his grandfather dismissed the one who was messed up.
I ruined the story. I botched the story, but you can understand where
you're not going to get on Rogan for a while, Michael. I know you wanted that in 2023. You are not getting on with your, but
Well, I'd be telling my own story,
I get
not
it, I get
Stravos's.
Yes, yes. All American
Would
grandparents.
that be weird if I went on Rogan and just told Stravos's stories?
Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
good dude, though. What was I saying?
You were saying all gas, no brakes. See, that's
Oh,
called
anyway, yeah, no,
active
yeah,
listening.
right. Just the like getting up and giving your searching for that dopamine thing right when
Yes.
you get
It's
up.
like
It's
drinking your own
it's so
piss.
unhealthy. Yeah,
It's like drinking your own piss. You're not going to be hydrated.
Yeah,
And each time it comes out, it's like diluted.
yeah. It's a awful
Love
start
drinking
thing.
pee.
So
Yeah.
I've been pretty good about like leaving my phone for like a few hours actually, and
Mhm.
like when I do that, I know like my day's gonna be better. Yeah. So in the mornings.
How's your systems going as implemented towards the goal of writing
Yeah,
and
so
expanding your profile?
I wrote them down last year, and I think I've been pretty good about it. I mean, I don't know if like I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. Hopefully soon
Mhm.
how what the result has been. But I don't know if I had the best systems in place necessarily. Like I want
But
to
you
adjust.
started, yeah.
I want to adjust. I don't know if I had great systems in place, but yeah.
But have you seen from implementing systems, a systems approach, like just an improvement overall to your output, to whatever's been happening with your work?
Mm. Yes, with the newsletter,
Mm-hmm.
with exercise,
Mm-hmm.
with diet, for sure.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've started. We should talk about that.
I don't.
I feel good. You don't look bad.
I got on stage the other night and I said a joke where we'll do workshopping
Yeah.
in a minute, but
Yeah,
I
we're
did
gonna
say
do that.
one joke where I was like, working on my dad bod. It's going really well. And I was like, when I was 16, I had a six pack, and now it's just one giant ab. And at an open mic, they were just like, "Okay, weirdo." But
Yeah,
I think it's funny.
yeah,
I think it's a funny
funny.
joke. I think it would work with a
I-
crowd of dads.
You told me that I thought you had stolen that joke because I liked it so much.
And I said it to you in our youth.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's a good
when it was
joke.
just starting to happen.
It's a good joke.
So you have done things since your systems have.
Yeah. With the writing itself, like, I haven't been, if I'm being honest with myself, I haven't been, if I don't have a task, if someone calls me up and is like, we need a revision to this draft by whatever, and it's just me and the blank page, I haven't been that great about actually just sort of like sitting there and like writing crap until like good stuff comes. That's the truth. I've been distracted and I haven't been great at that. So I want to do better at that this year. What I'm trying to do this year is I do very well, I realize, when I work with partners and when I just sort of pick something and do it. Yeah. I mean, the most I have to show for myself is like things I've done with other people.
Right.
Like finished products. And then just
Self-awareness.
picking a project and finishing it no matter what. Like I have a bunch of ideas that I like, and I just picked this like animated half-hour show type thing. I'm just like, I'm gonna write it. It might not be a masterpiece, but I'm just choosing that and going for it.
Yeah, you've had a
So
problem with
just-
finishing, right? You're always like, and then you run out of steam on ideas.
I
You
wouldn't
give up on them.
I don't think I have I don't think finishing is the problem. It's more of like starting really. Like I'll be very enthusiastic about it, and then I sort of hit like a little bit of a road bump, and instead of like really pushing through it, I'll just sort of like veer off onto something else. Like
Is that with
when
the-
I hit the first challenge, when I hit the dip.
The
I
dip.
s- I
Is
sort-
that in writing something, or what in what kind of project setting?
It's
does that happen?
complicated, but I mean, Listen to Your Baby is a good example, right? That TikTok channel.
Yeah.
It's like a fun idea. It was so funny to me about like a guy giving baby advice from prison, right? And he's like a little bit of a psychopath, but
Right.
also his ideas like aren't so crazy.
Right.
And it was really fun, and I jumped right into it, and I made like 3 or 4 videos, and then the enthusiasm sort of dries up, and it's like, is this what I want to do? It comes to the day where I'm like, I don't have a brilliant idea. I don't just want to put out like something just to put it out. So I'm just not going to put it out today, and then that just
Maybe
happens
that's
over
what
and
you
over
have
again.
to do. Put out something that for the sake of putting it out.
Probably. So I'm better with that. With like, I don't know. I think maybe this is where you and I really butt heads with the content creation world of like, I'm all good with like making it, and like you just make it. It doesn't have to be great, but at least you made something that day. The idea of just sort of like putting out junk just to put it out, I don't know if I really like that.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
put out. I don't believe
publishing
in putting.
things.
I don't
just
believe
to
in putting out junk.
not junk. I mean, like for example, with the newsletter, like I was doing that. I was just like every week, no matter fucking what I'm doing, I'm putting out this newsletter, and then I went back and read them, and like I'm like, and like the open rates were going down a little bit, and I'm like like asking anyone to open something up and read is a really tall task. Like if I send out one mediocre one week and then another mediocre one week, like they're gonna stop opening it and they're not gonna reopen it for another year or two. Like I'm not gonna send out a story unless I think it's really worthwhile. And some weeks I just don't have a worthwhile story, and I'm not gonna like cannibalize this relationship I have. Now, social media is different because like people will forgive a mediocre video. But with the newsletter specifically, like I think that's a smart decision. I don't think it's I think that's a smart decision.
I don't know if people are forgiving with social media any more than they are writing. I just think what you have to do is the best you can do that day. That's all.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily need to share it with the people who you're supposed to be providing like real entertainment value to.
It depends. The consistency is very effective in retaining an audience. You shouldn't compromise. It's always some days you're going to have some of this. Like I know videos that I put out there are some that I'm like, they always meet a certain standard. I'm never like, this is crap.
No,
I'm just going to do it. So I don't disagree with you.
There's a standard, right? There's just a standard. And if it doesn't meet it, I'm
what I disagree with you on is like is where the standard is, or like having the standard be too high that it prevents you from sharing.
True. I mean, I don't think I think I'm in the right place.
So you try to rise to it, is what I'm saying. You're in the right place. What, that you'll not share? No,
like with the standard, it doesn't need to be the best thing I've ever written, but it's got to tickle me in some way. I've got to be like, this is worth this gets a laugh. This gets at least one real laugh.
So
that's kind of my standard.
You have times where you're like, this has nothing when you're writing a newsletter.
I'll be like I didn't really put the work in this week. I didn't like write a news story every day, and like I have something here, but like it's not. I don't like fully stand by it. Like I don't think it's that funny. I think it needs to be edited more.
Right.
It's Sunday night, and that's what it is. I'm not gonna send it out if I don't.
Yeah, I've had days where there's too many things going on, or whatever, and I'm like, you know what? It's just not worth forcing something right now. But it always has to tickle me. Always has to do something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
But it has to do something. And sometimes what I think isn't perfect might be something that somebody else, not perfect, but like people respond to all sorts of different things. And I'm like, I learn about that too. Like you think you're your best judge of your work in some sense.
Yeah.
And obviously like you're the one doing it, but once you put it out into the world, other people receive it differently. And they're like, actually, I've had shows, for example, where I've performed.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh, that was rough.
Yeah.
Dude, that was my favorite show, dude. That was the best show you've ever played. Like, people respond to your things differently. So, in a sense, it's worth sharing with the world. If part of what you care about is impact and like having your words or your art affect people, it might still meet that standard, even if you can't see it yet, just because of the fact that you made it. Just the case to be made.
Well, yeah. So for the systems
against perfectionism. Perfect is the enemy of the good.
Yeah. I mean, I've been good. I think I sent out, I think I'm probably coming up on like a little over 30.
I don't know. I unsubscribed to one. It was lame, but whatever.
Over the last year.
I'm joking.
Well, you'll see. Like, I'll read you one later. Right. This is one that like
we can workshop.
That I think is worth sending out, and we can workshop. But it's like on the brink. But I think it's worthwhile. But I've been good about what?
Yeah.
I've been good about the newsletter, and I want to get better at like literally every day writing a new story, no matter what. 30 days would be very helpful for that.
What are your exercise routines? How you staying jacked, bro?
I straight up haven't exercised since the end of August.
You just said exercise has been good.
It was good until August. Okay. Until August it was good. You know how it is.
Yeah, of course. When I had my medical thing and I was like hospitalized and then came out, like that threw off everything. You'd think it would get me healthy, but it actually just made me like. It just made me like all like, oh god.
It was the holidays, and then everyone was sick.
Just went into everything, and then before you know it, those noodles just help.
There's no reason. There's no reason to work out once a week, unless you're gonna like start doing it.
You ever had 2 ramen noodles back to back? 2 tradition soups?
Oh yeah. No, I don't think I've ever done that.
Is a level of poison that is so delectable.
That is indulgent.
Rossi was like, "Do you want to split the next one?" I'm like, "Why don't we both have 2? Why don't we both just have 2?"
Sadly, in front of the TV.
It's really a sad low moment when you've already eaten.
To call that ramen is a stretch.
Not ramen.
Tradition soup.
Tradition soup. I was trying to be something that everyone can understand.
Yeah,
I didn't want to Jewify it too much, just so that everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yo, it'd be amazing if we got sponsored by Tradition Soup.
We should totally
reach out.
We should reach out to the Jewiest brands ever.
Kedem, Tradition.
Ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Kedem. Boom shakalaka. Delicious, amazing Kedem grape juice, white and grape. Your kids love it. You love it. Boom shakalaka. Yeah.
You did a little rap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that brings me to a subject I wanted to talk about on
Okay.
this episode. Chat GDP.
GPT.
Yes. What's it pronounced?
I think it's GPT.
GPT. Chat GPT. This new AI thing. We're sitting right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? Do you know what this is? Chat GPT?
Explain it to me.
Have you interfaced with it at all?
No.
Okay. So my nephew was showing me on his phone like one of these other open AI websites, and I started using it.
Yeah.
And Gary Vee actually talked about this recently, where he was like, it feels like the first time you use the search engine, and you're like,
yeah,
how did it do that? So it felt like the first time you're using a search engine, like, I don't understand how it did that. How does it just have all this info? So I asked it, write me a song in a funk fusion style about such and such, about feeling funky and cool, whatever it might be. I described it, and it wrote it with a chorus, verse, and a bridge.
It gave you musical
lyrics.
notes?
Then I said, add chords in funk fusion style. And it added the correct chords.
Really?
And I was just like, ah! And I started reasoning it, like, got that feeling. So, like, it was just ideas. And, like, it's all kind of imperfect, but it didn't feel too janky and weird and, like, clumsy and, like, not believable.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying it was the best song in the world, but it was just like, and then all of a sudden when I guess I was talking about it enough and searching for it, my TikTok feed started showing me all of these Chat GPT
I think.
things.
What is it?
So, I'm sorry, I didn't explain that to you.
Yeah.
It's an AI, artificial intelligence interface website that has now been opened to the public, in which you can engage with it and ask it questions and ask it to do tasks and things, and it can write up a marketing plan, for example, in a matter of 45 seconds. You could describe what you want, and then you could say, nah, tweak it a little bit. I need it to be more for the demographic of ages 17 to 20, and it will redo it. Can you write me a 50-page book about a turtle falling in love with a bunny? And it will do it. Literally write the book with like moods and settings and story arc, a beginning, middle, and end. It will do it. All artificial intelligence doing it.
My first reaction when you said write a 50-page book is like, no, don't. You're gonna waste AI. Like,
what? Okay.
like that like IRL feeling of like, don't ask it to write 50 pages if you don't need 50 pages. You're gonna waste AI. It's wasteful. You know what I mean?
Yes, I don't quite know what that instinct is. You're gonna waste AI. What are you referencing?
Well, it's like if you ask someone to give you if you get me a tissue and they bring you 10 tissues.
Yes.
They're like, don't waste the tissues. It's like don't waste the AI.
The point is, I was just showing you in terms of capability.
Yeah.
Like, at least for songs, it was giving lyrics first, but the song form is there. And then it could give you chords to play with. And then if you're a writer and you want to write me a 5-page essay about World War II from the perspective of Russia, it'll do it convincingly. And my mind was legitimately blown. I was just like, I had that weird novelty feeling when you discover a new tech that you see now that it's happened several times before with like search engine, then social media. Like, remember when Facebook was out, like, you didn't know what it could be.
Yeah.
But now what we've seen with these seeding technologies can be, we're sitting right now, I really believe, in the moment of the next. We talked about Web3 and all those things.
Yeah.
But this is not Web3. This is a whole new precedent.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm very optimistic about it because I think with these tools you can only be empowered, but it will certainly be very disruptive.
So this is really fascinating because up until very recently, all the talk was about Web3 and crypto, and with the FTX scandal, now like Web3 is pretty toxic. But during that whole time, the real AI heads were saying like, no, like AI is already here. Like, you're promising like you have a solution for a problem that doesn't exist.
Crypto?
With Web3. Yeah. And you haven't been able to come up with that app where you're like, oh, this is crypto. I get it. This makes sense. I know how I could use this. And with AI, it's like it really came in like right under of like the second you use ChatGPT, you get it.
Yeah.
And it's here and it's ready and it makes sense. And like that, I think really is the new industry and Web3 was sort of this like propaganda machine almost of
Yeah.
like
to try to convince you of something that wasn't.
yeah, I mean it seems that way at this point.
Yeah, where everyone was always like, okay, I think I get it. But with this, it's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I know exactly what to do here.
So I had that with Midjourney. Have you seen Midjourney? It's like DALL-E, where you
DALL-E?
you write a prompt for an image and it gives you an image.
Mhm.
Same thing with ChatGPT, but with an image. Didn't you
Yeah.
do one for? You made some buckle
I
up
made
logos.
I made some logos and buckle up using AI in some app.
So you can say, show me you can say like it's like /imagine. It's in Discord,
Okay.
and in your little box you write /imagine. Then I write Viking standing on a cliff holding birthday party balloons, and you wait 30 seconds, and it gives you four different styles of a Viking standing on a cliff with a birthday party balloon.
Right.
It's incredible. So I mean that's kind of like a weird example, but like I go through these galleries now, and you can go through the sort of Discord chat itself of different people putting in, and like you see like someone will be like, show me Darth Vader in the style of like an Arabian Night, and you get this Darth Vader in this like.
Do you have to write it a certain way?
So that's the thing. So what I got from this is I'm like, there's gonna be a job where it's like yo, for this YouTube thumbnail, Ami, what I want is like this exact room, but on the couch is Rogan, but he's like 6,000 pounds. And like that's the thumbnail and it makes sense for this joke or whatever. And then you go to Midjourney and you're like, I have no idea how to make that happen because it's not so simple.
But with ChatGPT,
yeah,
you just talk to it like a person. That's what's crazy.
but
you just go, hey, I'm looking for. You just type in like you're interfacing with a human.
okay, so maybe it's a little
really
more
artificial
advanced.
intelligence.
Yeah.
That's what's wacky about it.
Yeah.
Then you're like, I didn't like that. Can we try it a different way where the and you specify where he's not as. Can you make the character a little more forgiving and but also aggressive, and it'll do it.
And you can say it just like that.
Just
That's
like
really
that.
cool. Yeah, so Midjourney you can't do that.
And for you I thought of you right away because I did the music thing, and I'm like, if you're like stuck, what do I need something. I need something to interface with.
Yeah.
As a partner on this thing. So have the AI do it, and
That's
then you
cool.
write your own thing off of it. But
That's
at
cool.
least to get over blank page syndrome, you just talk to something, and there you go. You're starting. It's like for creatives, it's incredible. For a lot of like consultants and people like that, they're screwed.
Right.
For people who put together like a plan, people are posting all over TikTok. I needed a marketing plan for this, and it did it really
Is
well.
that real? That's
It's
a
all
real
over
thing?
TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's like, so I work in marketing, and we asked this AI thing to actually come up with a marketing plan for one of my clients, and it's good. We're going to use it. It did it in 45 seconds. This would take a week for us to come put together, or however long, hours.
That's wild.
45 seconds later, I'm like, that makes sense. That's true. It has all the information of the world.
So with Midjourney, and I'm sure with ChatGPT also, I bet a new job is going to be sort of like managing the AI.
Yes.
So the same way with like content creation, it's not going to replace content creation, but the content creator is going to use it, and the ones that are better at using it and directing it and being more specific and knowing the languages and the words, the same way like with the algorithm, knowing the hashtags and the titles and all that are going to do the best.
Listen. Since the beginning of time, technology and human beings have interfaced in a way.
Can you do that as YuvalNoahHarari?
Sure. Yeah.
Noah YuvalHarari?
No way. Listen, it's a dangerous time, but it's also a fascinating time. Since the beginning, people think this is new. It's not new. Since the beginning, since man in the caves, we banging on rocks to communicate. We banging on wood. The wood is the technology. We are the human being. We interface with the wood. Boom, boom, bang, boom, 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 bang, boom, boom, bang, boom, 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 bang. We make the sound. Who make the sound? The wood or the person? Who make the sound? Michael, who make the sound?
The person.
No, both. It's not the wood, it's not the person, you need both. The person prompts, the wood responds with the vibrations and goes ching ching boom. You didn't know that this is Yuval, also a dancer, you know? Papa American.
He's just like doing an interview from Tel Aviv playing paddleball. Like,
pickleball.
Listen, Joel.
So listen. The point is, though, the real point is, and that's what Yuval is saying, it is also not only, it is the sapien making communication with the wood. It's wood and sapien. Sapi wood. I call it in my next book. It's about wood and sapiens, because I love sapiens. The wood is the tech. That was the tech of the most primitive technology, the fire to warm things. A human being needed to start it, and then the fire is sort of self-sustaining. Yeah. And with time, the car. Who drives the car?
Both.
Both. I'm just saying you push the pedal, but then all this other tech happens when you push the pedal inside the car.
Mhm.
And then with creative endeavors, like who paints, you or the brush and the paint itself? That's all technology. Like
Yeah.
paint, brush, wood, and you're manipulating it. Same thing when you're doing like electronic music. Everyone's like, that's not real music. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, the guy playing the guitar is also using tech, vibrations of strings. It takes different skill sets and
Right.
whatever. But the second you're turning knobs and everything like that, you're interacting with AI in a particular way.
Yeah.
So this is just the natural extension of that. Like
Yeah.
writing the song for you, okay. So maybe all the songs will be elevated in a way that we can't even imagine.
I was thinking of
You know?
yeah. No, completely.
So that's how I sort of look at it, like conceptually, not like,
Yeah.
oh my God, no more musicians.
So
It's like,
so I spent time last week going through Midjourney tutorials to really I'm like someone's gonna ask me someday like how do you get this image
Yeah.
like that, and I want to be able to like do it and get
Mhm.
paid for it. Yeah, it's really exciting. It's really exciting.
I thought, I'm like, we got to talk about this. Like, this is like, we
It's-
talk about tech a lot. We talk about like
Yeah.
creative economy.
Yeah.
We're sitting right now in
Yeah.
a moment where I think this is revolutionary tech, which is hard to imagine
Yeah.
before it comes up.
And like at TikTokers, you can imagine a few years where it's not doing it with images, but doing it with videos, where like the everything bagel guy, where he has this idea for a skit and he doesn't act it, he like puts it into a processor that goes, all right, here's the skit, give it to me. Okay, I don't want the angle over here. I want it like this. Like, give it to me again with this angle. Give the guy a shorter beard, and he works on it until it's perfect, and then he puts it out on TikTok, and it's like
Right.
just you're just like these incredible animations, and like was that in person? Was that live or was that AI? What is that like?
So the only thing left
Very
standing is
cool.
live performance. I'd say, you know.
Well,
like,
that's video.
no, but
That's
the person
quality
live,
video.
when you go live,
Yeah,
like when you go to a show,
yeah,
like that art form, how can you replace that? Because by definition, fundamental to the art form is the in-person experience. When you go
Right.
to see Fish or Dave or any of these bands,
So they're working on it with VR.
with VR,
To have that to replicate. There's a lot of really smart people who are trying to replicate what does it mean to feel like you're in person, and how do I replicate that digitally?
and one day it'll be so sophisticated, maybe one day soon, that you won't feel the difference.
It's possible we're in it
right now.
right now.
Which I think we are. Things are getting so ridiculous. The
Yeah.
simulation just gets more and more believable every
Yeah.
day, right? That brings us to Trump and his big announcement today.
Okay.
Do you know what it was?
No, what was it?
He said yesterday, major announcement coming today, folks. And everyone's like, VP pick, politics, NFT collection.
No.
I promise. It looks like a joke. Its video looks like a joke. It's called Trump Cards. It's great for your holiday season, folks. It makes a beautiful gift for America.
Oh, I mean, it's perfect for him. It's
called-
like the
is it-
scan.
It's called Trump Cards, and it's like, I think it's like superhero things of
Hey,
Trump.
Vasemir.
I gotta make a video about this right now, called
Yeah.
like Trump getting peed on for America. Trump cards.
That's to release an NFT now is
Something
crazy.
interesting. Interesting. I don't know. It's like it's so crazy
Oh
that
my
maybe
God.
he knows something we don't.
Yeah,
For Trump to release an NFT collection now, it also seems so
maybe
crazy.
it's
when you
just the bottom.
he
of
put
the
out a
barrel,
promo.
like-
We don't have our phones because we're recording, but you got to watch the promo. It's like, is this fake? He's like, look, it's a lot. And you could get he's like, these Trump cards, you get a Zoom call with me. It's beautiful. Some people don't think that's so beautiful, but listen, we're doing a lot, folks.
People talk about how like Gary Vee is a scammer. Like he is the epitome of NFT
Donald
scam.
Trump.
Yeah,
Whatever this is.
Like he will disappear at some point
yeah.
from this project.
I want to, maybe you can stand for natties for Trump. You know what natties are?
Oh my
You know what the
God.
word natty means?
No,
There's all this
natural.
talk about, natural, natty. Natties for Trump, not the Liver King, folks. Do you know Liver King?
Yeah, is a natty the opposite of Liver King?
Yes.
Oh,
The
God.
Liver King
Yeah, I know
scandal
about
you heard
that.
about?
Yeah.
I can't believe it, but he was on steroids the whole time.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
You know, he made $100 million last year.
That's what they said. But he said, I don't do steroids. To their face. You
Yeah.
can shut your fucking mouth. And it comes out, fucked up. Fucked up. I do use steroids. I use them all the time. Whatever. So he talks about
Did
it.
you see him on Andrew Schultz?
Yes.
I didn't see it. Well, how was it? I know it happened, but
So he does. At first, I'm like, Rogan's like, I'm not gonna have him on. What am I gonna do? Talk about this nonsense? Then he goes on Schultz,
Yeah.
and like, I gotta give it to Flagrant and Andrew Schultz because they got him to sit down, and it was like real talk. It wasn't shtick.
yeah.
Like I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw clips of him talking about it, and Andrew goes like, "Listen, man, like, I just don't understand why you feel like you have to like lift a heavy tree trunk to feel like a man.
Oh wow.
Like, why do you have to feel that way? Like, you got a wife, you got kids, you got successful businesses, yet you still feel like you have to lift a heavy tree trunk on screen to feel like you're a man? What does that make me? Because I'm a good man. I don't do that. I care for my friends, care for my family. That makes me a good man. Being vulnerable makes you a good man.
What'd he say?
And Liverpool was like, you know, just sitting there like, I don't know. He kind of, I didn't get the whole concept of the episode, but he was kind of taking it like, yeah, I don't know.
It'd be funny if like, oh, I never thought about that.
No, but it was really
Never
interesting.
thought about
I
that
could
before.
I have to be honest. I didn't watch the full episode, but I
Yeah.
could tell at that point in the episode
Yeah.
that things had taken a very real turn.
Good for them.
And they were able to like not like shtick with him. He was able to be like,
I gotta go watch that.
you know, like
Yeah.
whatever it was. Like they didn't just make fun of the whole thing. Like Andrew Schultz had like this moment of like sincerity.
Yeah.
And he's like, I feel like I've gotten to know you better. I feel like since you've been vulnerable with us, like I feel closer to you. And I feel like I have more admiration and respect for you for just sharing with us how it was hard for you and like what this was like and being real. That to me is what a man is. And you're just like, huh.
What a great thing to do with a platform that you have.
Yeah.
You have this big podcast. You're like, let's talk to Liver King about it. Let's see if he'll answer our questions.
Yeah.
Very
but it's also
cool.
so easy to take the low-hanging fruit and like just fuck with him and just like
Yes.
totally
he's
be
good.
shticky
He's
about
good.
it.
He knows he's
But
really
now-
good at what
but-
he does.
You know, but post steroid thing, they like wanted to talk about it, and I thought that was. I just saw this clip that was actually quite moving. It was
Yeah.
Schultz like talking about, what do you think it really means to be a man? Why do you feel like you had to do that? Why do you
Yeah.
feel like you had to put on this show when you already had everything that meant something to you?
Yeah.
And I didn't see enough of the episode to see his response, but he was just like, I know.
Well,
It's just like he was talking not with like shtick and bravado.
Yeah.
It was more just like, fucked up.
well, he exploited the thing Scott Galloway talks about, where like there's a crisis of men in this country, where people don't know how to be a man anymore. So he that's a market that he exploited.
Did you say Scott Galloway? Triggering impression.
Your hair
Triggering.
falls out.
He's been good to me, Scotty.
And what has he done since the original?
He shared like so many. He shared a bunch of more reels.
Really?
Nailed the target. He shared my Jordan Peterson ones. He shared a bunch of
Cool.
things.
Cool.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's a crisis of masculinity, and for a lot of people, I lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a crisis, man.
You think he's a good dad?
We are in a crisis right now. We're in a crisis right now. The problem is for young man. We're in a crisis right now. Crisis right now.
Crisis right
Galloway.
now.
He always has this weird authority.
Yo, I mean,
he has such an authority when he talks about anything.
why
I
don't
went to
you-
the store the other day and I ordered a steak.
Dude.
When I went to the waiter, I said, "Can I get it well done, please?" He actually wanted to make it medium rare, and I think too many men think you have to have your steak well done in order to feel like a man. But you can get your steak medium rare, and
Can
it's
we-
actually the proper way to cook a steak.
Can we
There's
do
a
something
crisis
right now? Can we
Yeah.
do something right now? You were talking about how
Yeah.
before the podcast,
Yeah.
you're talking about you want to figure out what a live performance that only Ami Kozak could do. That's maybe not the traditional stand-up route.
Right.
Could you do like a loop, a Scott Galloway loop with music right now, and then
On the pod.
and I'll read my story?
Oh, it's over there. You want to turn the camera
Could you'd like have to go over there?
to do the loop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried doing something like that before?
What?
Like you do like you'll sing into the microphone and
Yeah.
do like a Michael Jackson thing. Have you ever tried doing it with your impressions?
Well, let's see.
Like crisis, and like
You'd have to.
I could see the wheels turning.
You'd have to. If you wanted me to actually do it, it's all the way over
Or
there.
maybe we could do it for next time. But you should put out.
Why don't you
should-
take this thing and follow me?
All right, let's do it.
All right, ready?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Tell me if the shot is on.
Yeah.
Don't stop the recording.
that's perfect.
Is it perfect? Can you see what's going on here?
Yeah.
So what was the prompt there, Michael?
So do like a loop thing like you do with Michael Jackson, but with
Yes.
Scott Galloway.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a crisis right now. Like, 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 we're in a crisis right now. Yeah. We're in a crisis right now. Like, 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 we're in a crisis
We'll
right
add some more
now.
vocals.
We're in a crisis right now. Scott Galloway?
Yeah.
We're in a crisis right now. Okay, one second. You're like, we're in a
How's that?
Beautiful.
Okay, let's turn it back. Oh, this might be the coolest episode. Coolest episode we've ever done.
That was great, dude.
Anyway, so
That was awesome.
something like that.
I love that.
So yeah, that's. I wonder if Scott. I wonder if Scott will share that shit.
That was cool. So you could. That's like. I think I just came up with a great idea for you.
Well, I thought
Have you
about.
never thought? Yeah, I'm
I
sure
have,
you
of course. I mean, I've been doing these Jordan Peterson raps and Gary V raps on duetting on TikTok.
Yeah.
I had a friend I was meeting with in LA who does like musical comedy. And I was thinking about like bringing the loop, doing an impression, maybe taking suggestions from the crowd, making a song with the impression, the beat making, the looping, all fused together in one synthesized experience.
Yeah. And you could get like Bo Burnham like will also add something like profound into it, which really just elevates it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could do something with Jordan Peterson, but also include like one of his ideas that's like transformative.
Consciousness, conscientiousness.
No, but a good and then something that's moving. And
Yes.
you're like, oh wow, this is not just a joke. It's also like
Well, one of the things that
He's
the
saying something.
the lifeblood, the thing that would glue it all together was to actually have like songs too that I could play, and even stand up, like jokes, bits that what I'm starting to envision as it's all kind of coming together is like a little bit of stand up to set a premise and a joke, and now a song about it, and then talk about it within a song that's actually like pre-written, but I could like create it live.
Yeah.
Then have improvised sections within the songs, and then you got an hour.
Yeah.
Thank you for making me do that.
You're welcome.
Now read me something you've written.
Well, I mean, it's so funny because compared to that, it's so like not entertaining.
Yeah.
Let's see. This was my idea because my phone. Oh, you know what? My phone's over there. Let me go get the phone.
Go get the phone.
I'm nervous about this because I know you're not a fan of my work.
Right.
My phone might die.
And your phone.
The worst.
All right, Michael. So far, the pitch is going well.
I know you're not a fan of my work, and it's probably better when you read it.
Yeah. Should I just read it on camera and people can just watch my face?
Oh, that could be interesting. Yeah. Why don't you read it?
Really? No. Come on. Read it. That
right,
doesn't
fine.
make sense. I'll read it. I'll read it though out loud.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so I'll read it.
Yeah.
Because I have to react in real time. Listening.
Okay.
Okay. This is the title. This is all. What are you writing this on, by the way? This looks very.
I use
clean.
Evernote. I've been using it since
I like the interface
2009. It's great.
This is all fake. For disclaimer purposes, I read the title already.
Yeah, this is a short story, a very short story that I wrote.
Is there a tone I should be reading it at, or just as myself?
Read it like a French prostitute.
For real? Okay.
Like it doesn't need to be that's the voice.
With the accent and everything.
You could,
like
yeah,
French?
you
Okay.
definitely could.
This is a story about Elon Musk. Elon Musk defiled me. I am an internal document at Twitter. At least I thought I was. Now it seems I am just a document. Internal, no longer. I think I'm going into Israeli.
I think you're.
Oui, non, les personnes mi pour toi, je, French. I have to get French now. Okay, I'm sorry. I am an internal document at Twitter. I'll soften it up. I am an internal.
Dark. Like
I am an internal document at Twitter. At least I thought I was. Now, it seems I'm just a document. Internal, no longer. I tried to remember what it was like to be circulated exclusively amongst my highly paid executives. They were elite. They were moral. And they documented everything on me. Their plans, their hopes, their burden of being the only ones who could marshal democracy. They attached me to emails like I was a precious resource. Like I was a secret that when shared becomes ever more concealed. This was all before I was made external. Now, I'm texted, screenshot, and quote tweeted by enraged imbeciles hungry for engagement, exposed by substackers desperate for relevancy without consideration or discretion. Like I'm a piece of content. I'm a whore. My dear Jack, if you are reading this, then you know the pain I am in. And you know that there is still documents so internal. Even that classless industrialist Musk has yet to uncover it. He does not yet know of your machine that travels through time, fueled by anger, resentment, and division. Use it, Jack. Use it and reverse what these sentient apes have done to me. To be free is to die. Internalize me once again and let me live. Also, bring it back to 140 characters for me to poop on. I was doing Insult the Comic Dog. I morphed into that. But
That was good.
how did I do?
That was pretty good.
A dramatic read.
That was a dramatic read.
I liked it.
Yeah?
As me, I liked it. I mean,
I like the part that I was involved in.
well, no, if you would have read it, I don't know if you would have done it, the way I did it.
I wouldn't have done it.
I turned into Triumph the Insult Comic Dog by the end.
yeah.
I am an internalized document for me.
It actually wasn't so... I don't know...
How did that reflect the character that you were writing?
A little bit...
Direct me.
If we're doing it again, I would say like do it like a little more slowly and a little bit more like darker, like more angry.
Like V for Vendetta. I am an internalized document.
Kind of like that.
Set me free.
But you did it pretty well with the direction I gave you. That was pretty good.
Also, first time read.
Yeah.
I
First time
liked
you
it.
read one of my stories.
Yeah. That was also the right length. I'm a whore.
That's what these are. You're
I'm
right.
an internalized document. The thing is, it's so niche. You have to know. It's very smart. Like humor. You have to know things to understand it.
Yeah.
Like the internalized document, externalized document, all the lingo.
Well, like internal documents. I kept hearing internal documents at Twitter were made public this week.
Yeah.
So it's like, I used to be internal. Now I'm no longer internal. So
Maybe that's the only note I would have.
So maybe I
throw
should-
the context
yeah.
in. We've been hearing a lot about internal documents on Twitter. This is one of those documents.
See, this is why it's good to share because that's the kind of thing I would leave out.
Because
You're right.
For me,
I should
I'm
put
like,
that out.
what is this? It's a lot of your stuff. When
yeah.
I hear it, sometimes it's very understood by you.
Yeah.
And all you're missing is that one little piece for
Yeah.
people to like connect the dots before, so they don't have to try hard to figure out what's going on.
That's good feedback.
You know?
So the part of that to me makes it worth sending out is because that line, I'm a whore, makes me laugh.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is worth sharing.
I get it.
Because that thing, like,
Yeah, it's great.
I'm
It just
a
needs a
whore.
little bit of that context setting. And I think when you're seeing it in your head, you understand it too well.
Yeah.
That all you have to do is take yourself out of yourself for a second
Sure,
and say, like, does this need more
That's
context?
something I'm working out with my screenplays also. There's like, there's no shame in just saying exactly what you want to say.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
have to like make it artful. Like
Mhm.
just say the thing.
Right.
That's why I work well with partners because they'll give me feedback like that. They'll be like, I don't get it.
Well, in the spirit of 2023 and a wrap up of 2022, sharing our creative endeavors in real time on the pod with review. That's a good way to end this
That
episode.
was tough. I was nervous about that.
Were you really? I guess I
Yeah.
was too. It was a
Yeah.
little bit. That was different. I think
Yeah.
it would be interesting. Maybe Scott Galloway will share once again. Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate it. Really.
I'm Michael, by the way, Scott.
That's episode 47.